Today we're talking about safety and security training and prevention here at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com. Welcome to the Better Sundays podcast, focused, practical, and usable advice for church leaders looking to reach new young families and impact their community. Well, howdy. Mike Holmes in studio here. Today we're talking about that old adage that says an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And that is for sure when it comes to safety and security of our people in our church. We want to make sure that we are taking lots of time to go through lots of different things. And if you followed the last several podcasts, you know that we've been covering everything from background checks to, the whole idea of dealing with your entire crowd, how to do the safety and security for 100 or 200 or 300 people, how to handle some of that. Make sure you go back and take a few moments to listen to some of those, and we'll proceed with this one right now. This is one where it is really all about culture. It's the idea from the very top. In fact, this is the secret of really all safety and security stuff, is that at the very top, the pastoral level, the top admin level, that safety and security are part of the culture, that it is something that you think about and you deal with all the time. Now, I know we have spiritual stuff that has got to be at the top as well, and that's why we're in the ministry. But this idea that we would have our people be unsafe and unsecure and some of those things, that is not good at all. And in this day and age, if we're going to give the gospel to people, it denotes that we need to have people there. And if there are people there, we need to take care of them. And so we need to create a culture of prevention, a culture of thinking things through. And I've got 3 little simple tips to kind of help you with this on this particular one. So, again, this is the kind of the little hidden secret here, is to make sure that you are thinking about these things and meeting with the right people and discussing all this. So my very first thing that I have is prioritize it. In other words, at your meetings that you have, all the different times that you meet and get together, that this is not something that is always pushed to the end, but these are things that do get priority. Not necessarily every meeting needs to deal with safety and security, but there has to be a lot of discussion around that topic. And also, prioritize means that you as an administrator or a pastor or an assistant or whatever position you are, that you're talking to the right people. It's a priority with you. You're going to, of course, talk about, how to build people up, how to disciple, evangelism, and all that. But in those discussions, make sure that you are getting some of this in. So number 1 is prioritize it. Number 2 is calendar it. And this is the idea that when you start to talk about it, it's like, hey, let's put together a meeting. Let's put together time to talk about it. Let's do next Tuesday. Let's go through some of this. And when you calendar things of this thing, they cannot be tagged in on the end of Sunday type meetings. They have to be what we call the non-Sunday meetings. You have to have time to talk and get feedback. And if there's ever something that really needs feedback, and I know we don't do a lot of things like we're not going to discuss the Trinity, if it's good or bad, or if it's a thumbs up or thumbs down. We're not going to have discussion on that, but you do need to have discussion on the best way to handle a tornado if it's coming to your building on a Sunday morning when it's filled with people. You do, and there are a lot of people will have a lot of different input on how to handle that, because the expertise is certainly not with the people in the clergy side. I mean, this is something you never get any training on in seminary or in Bible college, how to handle emergencies and medical emergencies. It's really going to be your people that are going to do it. So have a get it on the calendar and get those people in a meeting, the right people on the bus, so to speak. The last thing, after the idea of prioritize it and calendar it, number 3 is just this idea of what I call seminar it, okay? And seminar it means that from your discussion then, you're probably going to have like a training event. So you may have some discussion in some of these meetings where you've calendared it, But then you need to calendar some type of event where there's training and the right people are at that training, and you are kind of dealing in a kind of seminar fashion. In other words, hey, for the next 15 minutes, we're going to talk specifically about this. It's not a topic that you just kind of touch on and, oh, by the way, is our first aid kit, and oh, our defibrillator, is it working? Does 911, do they even know where our building is? Those are not just kind of little casual conversations. You want to make sure that you are having a seminar and teaching people exactly how the things should be done in the event of medical or environmental emergencies. We've talked about intruders. There's all sorts of different things we've talked about. You can go back and catch some of those. But this is the idea that you would have a formal training where the right people are there and you're going through it. And one of the things that you can do there, because not always everybody makes it, but have your phone there and do a recording and have that so you can send that to the people that weren't there so that they can get in on the seminar and get the training. If we are going to have a lot of people in our buildings, and that's really our goal, is to reach a lot of our community, then we want to make sure that we're ready for them and that everybody is trained that needs to be trained. So I'm asking you to, on this is number 7 out of 10 here, I'm asking you on number 7 to start to, really think this through, really prioritize things, really make sure that you are, kind of getting a meeting together with the right people and actually sitting down and having a focused topic about this. And then once you have discussed things, that you kind of come up with a little training regimen of sort. And the seminar thing would also have printed materials that would go with it. And again, video materials, maybe even bring in somebody else that says, hey, this is how we're going to handle this, expert that would handle with medical or fire or whatever those things happen to be, but make it a seminar. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful for you. My name's Mike Holmes with the Sinclair Baptist Church, and you're at the Better Sundays podcast. If you've never been with us before, we appreciate you very much. Make sure you subscribe. Make sure you give us a thumbs up, and we will see you the next week when we get to the very next one. We're going to talk about nursery, very specific stuff will have to do with nursery training and safety and security. So we'll see you next week here at the Better Sundays podcast at reachkeep.com.